Good afternoon. It's the pit stop. Gotta pull the microphone close to your face if you want to talk, I suppose. Hey, I'm Stephen McCollum, and for the next however long it takes us to get through the look ahead show here, right? We're going to look ahead to Talladega this weekend. Of course, if you missed our look backs and our thoughts and our conversation about Las Vegas last weekend, well, that's posted up on demand at Robat TV, the free YouTube page as well for all the programs that we do here at Robat TV, and of course, free podcast system for the Pit Stop as well. All you got to do is search and go to Podbean at the Pit Stop Talk, or follow us on Twitter as well, or X, right, at the Pit Stop Talk there as well for all of our social media content around the show and the happenings around NASCAR. And but those are posted. We do that show Monday, Tuesday of the following week. But now we look ahead to the weekend coming up and what we see, at least with a fun, let's say tension-filled weekend here at Talladega. And by tension-filled, I just simply mean, well, these guys are drafting, of course, and a lot of rules go out the window when it comes to the drafting side of things out there. So Talladega's on our minds right now, and all three national series will be competing as the playoffs are dwindling down for all of them. By Talladega and Martinsville, we will have the championship four that'll be racing here in Phoenix here coming up. So first, let's get started with the Truck Series. And the Truck Series are coming off an off week last week. And so it's easy to forget about them, right, with them being off last week. So let's get you updated on the current playoff standings as they stand right now in the Truck Series. And, you know, Corey Heim won race one of the three races here in the Truck Series. Last time they were out on the racetrack there. So Corey Heim advancing with one win there in round of 8. So he moves on to the championship four, as nobody is shocked by that at all for Corey Heim out there. Interesting enough, you know, you got Tyler Ankrum in second, Daniel Hemrick in third, Roger Carruth in fourth. But look at those point differentials. Even the guys underneath, Lane Riggs, Ty Majeski, Grant Effinger, and Caden Honeycutt. Look at that. 1, 2, 4 points backwards for those guys as well. Second to eighth place in the playoff standings are separated by just 5 points. So you obviously want to win to move on with these two other races. You win, you move on. Or you've got to compete and not get knocked out of these races early. Be there at the end with a chance to win. Accumulate points in order to advance into the round of the championship four here in the Truck Series. This is as competitive it can get, which is interesting because everybody else is competitive, but you have Corey Heim, who's just a step above, or 2, 3, 4, 5 steps above everybody else in this series there. So only 3 of the drivers in the round of 8, well, only 3 of them have previously made the championship four. Effinger has made the championship four before. Ty Majeski's won a championship here as well. Of course, Corey Heim trying to meet that here and move on. At least one driver will make the championship four for the first time. I told you before, I got Corey Heim. I got Lane Riggs both advancing on into the round of a championship four. I also have Ty Majeski doing it also. No reason to doubt that here in this series. I mean, Lane Riggs is 1 point out. Ty Majeski's 2 point out. That obviously can be made up in a blink of an eye coming up here. But the tracks kind of lend a little bit of question marks here because anything can happen at a drafting track. Anything can happen at a Martinsville track coming up as well. So it would be interesting to see who they are that get on and move on here. And who's the fourth driver? I have no idea. No idea who's going to be that fourth one. Moving on. So this weekend, you got Talladega Super Speedway. It is a 2.66 mile asphalt oval, if you weren't aware. High bankings on the side. Drafting track, so guys are going to be against each other here to get their momentum on the track. The racing for the Truck Series gets underway Friday night. Of course, October 17th here. It's going to be a 4 p.m. Eastern race start time, 1 p.m. here in Phoenix, where we record the show. 1 p.m. green flag there as well. It's going to be fun to watch. I'm going to look forward to it. If you want to watch practice and the pole qualifying, well, that'll be on Fox Sports 2, 12:30 p.m. Eastern time, which is 9:30 a.m. Phoenix time. Here coming up tomorrow morning on Friday morning. I forget what day it is here today. as well. So Friday morning, that'll be up there, 9:30 our time here in Phoenix, 12:30 Eastern time for that. So here's basically where the Truck Series stands in terms of competition. And we showed you the points. Everybody's close in points. It's anybody's race to move on to the championship four, which is what I love about the competition. But Corey Heim is a step above everybody, right? But so's Lane Riggs. Corey Heim and Lane Riggs, they've won the last 9 races in this Truck Series. If you want to look and see when the last time one of those two guys haven't won a race here, well, last driver to not win a race, somebody else win it, I should say, Michigan, June 7th is that date. Stuart Friesen was the last one to win a Truck Series race not named Corey Heim or Lane Riggs out there. They've dominated this series, obviously. Corey Heim more so than Lane Riggs. Want some more data on that, on how it's been dominated? Corey Heim, 317 laps. Lane Riggs, 181 laps. Yes, they've led 498 of the 642 laps just in the playoffs by themselves. Dominated by 2 people, mostly dominated by 1 person. Lane Riggs is a competitor. He can kind of surprise and beat Corey Heim here in this series to win a championship. But the problem is with Talladega is, right, it's not a 1.5-miler. It's not a short track. Talladega is different as a drafting track. Now, Talladega is the 3rd drafting track, race of 2025 for the Truck Series. But here's the thing. They have not raced a drafting track in the Truck Series since Atlanta back in February. So you're coming in here on a new racetrack, or a familiar racetrack, but a new one you haven't raced at since February. Do you throw all the records out on Corey Heim and Lane Riggs? Does somebody else come in and get this win? Is the kind of the question you got to think about as well. 6 of the last 7 Talladega races here in the Truck Series, well, they were won by a last lap pass. All but 4 Talladega races were won in the final 2 laps here as well for these guys racing. Not a surprise because you kind of get bunched up. You don't kind of. You do get bunched up here. 4 of the last 6 races here at Talladega, well, they were won by drivers getting their first Truck Series win, no less. So are we going to see somebody sneak up and not name Corey Heim or Lane Riggs win here this weekend at Talladega? 3 drivers finished top 10 in the 2 drafting tracks in 2025. I'm sorry, 3 drivers finished in the top 10. I think I said it wrong there, right? And guess what, folks? They are playoff drivers. Grant Effinger, Ty Majeski, and Chandler Smith. Top 10 finishes in the first 2. Nobody else has finished in the top 10 for the other 2 drafting races, which tells you there's some momentum here for these playoff guys, Grant Effinger, Ty Majeski, and Chandler Smith as well. So Talladega brings a question mark into the Truck Series, right? Can Corey Heim win again? He's already advanced to the championship 4. Is he going to push it? What's he going to do? Lane Riggs, on the bottom side, looking up. A win will advance you. Guys are going to be pushing for that win with Martinsville coming up next weekend. I'm going to go with the other proven guy in this series and the guy that's kind of dominated out there as well, not named Corey Heim. I'm going to say Lane Riggs wins the race here at Talladega here in the Truck Series. I would not be surprised if Ty Majeski is there at the end. Raja Karuth maybe. Just depends how the race goes in terms of damage on the cars, wrecks, etc. But I got Lane Riggs winning this and punching his ticket to definitely move on to the championship 4. And I think these guys, you can't rely on points here in this Truck Series. You see how close the point line is. You cannot go into Martinsville with some being close to guys because anything can happen. You can get knocked out of that race early. You can have some struggles late, get pushed back, and somebody pass you. This race here in Talladega, if you're there in the beginning, you're at the end, you've got to push to get there. I think Lane Riggs is going to go and get that win in the Truck Series. Interesting news from the Truck Series this year as well before we move on to the Xfinity side of things. You know, Kaulig Racing is moving in the Truck Series and going with, and they're going to be the newly crowned, they're going to be the newly only Dodge Ram truck team coming into this series this year. Well, who's going to drive those cars, those trucks? Kaulig Racing announced that newly crowned ARCA Menard Series winner and champion, Brandon Butterbean Queen, is going to, and he's been named the team's first Ram 1500 driver for the next year in the Craftsman Truck Series coming up in the season. Colleague Racing is the anchor team for Rams' return to NASCAR. Colleague revealed it would field 5 trucks in the Truck Series beginning in 2026. So 4 more drivers have to be named, but Queen is the first of 5 spots to be announced as of now. So it'll be interesting to see. I suspect they're going to have several, maybe ARCA guys, or maybe a couple people that, are on lesser teams in the Truck Series that get an opportunity with them. So something to pay attention to in these other 4 spots that could affect other teams out there as well. So a little bit about Queen as he moves up here into the Truck Series. Well, he is as I said, told you, the 2025 ARCA Menard Series Championship champion. Well, he recorded 8 wins. He finished inside the top 5 in 17 of the 20 races. Now, he does have some Xfinity incidents, tests and stuff like that as well. He's been testing with Colleague, and, well, Queen's talents were tested here last month. He entered, into the NASCAR Xfinity Series races as well. So he posted a 9th place finish at Kansas Speedway. Queen earned the opportunity to drive this season's remaining 3 Xfinity races for Colleague Racing for the rest of the season. That starts this weekend at Talladega. So they're familiar with them. They tested him out, make sure they were a fit. Boom, nailed the Truck Series. First Truck Series driver for those Ram 1500s coming up. And now I know Xfinity Series and Truck are 2 different things, but he's going to be there with his team. And he's going to be there racing at a higher level coming up from the ARCA side. And so congratulations to him, and congratulations to Colleague Racing and getting their first Ram 1500 driver out there. And what's been going on, if you didn't know, about a week ago, the ballot casting began here for the, most favored drivers, I guess we could say, in all series there, right? So you have the Truck Series, you have the Xfinity Series, and the Cup Series. Who is the most popular drivers voted on from the fans? Well, the Truck Series, they announced the top 10 people as of October 15th in each of the series. So first up, the Truck Series is what we'll talk about here. So here is Truck 2 is what we need. Top 10 truck vote getters for everybody out there. And, you can kind of see right there. Look at these names. Roger Caruth, not a surprise. Matt Crafton's not a surprise. To be in that list, Grant Effinger, Stuart Friesen. I don't know. Part of me wonders if he might win this year with that big accident he had. Super friendly Canadian, but that big accident he had up there, I believe in Quebec. And of course, missed some time. Corey Heim might win it just because of his winning this year in things. Frankie Muniz missed some races due to an injury. Getting back in the car here this weekend, or in the truck this weekend. As well, he had a wrist injury that happened here. He lives here in Arizona, and it happened here, and he missed some time. Ben Rhodes and then Lane Riggs here. So those are the top 10 vote getters as of October 15th. If you want to vote, go to NASCAR.com, and you'll see the links for it as well. I don't know. Who are you voting for is what I would like to know here in the Truck Series. Of course, hit me up at the Pit Stop Talk on X. Let's talk about it and see who you think the most popular driver should be there in the Truck Series. And then, not only that, Friday will end, and then Saturday will get here, and that's when the Xfinity Series gets underway at Talladega this weekend. Now, they raced last weekend at Las Vegas, so a lot of competition going into this race. But first, let's get you reminded of the playoff standings here. If you don't remember from the Look Back show earlier this week, let's throw up the point standings here in terms of the playoffs. Xfinity won. And no shocker. Now, Eric Almirola won. There's only 2 drivers, or 2 team owners, by the way, still in the Owners' Championship. Eric Almirola is the one that got his Joe Gibbs Racing into that Owners' Championship for. But Xfinity won here. The Xfinity playoff races. Connor Zilic, not a shocker. So everybody has to still point in at this point So 2 drivers will point in this round, since you're only going to get 2 possible winners, since nobody won the first race, right? Connor Zilic is 82 points up. Look, I've told you all along, Connor Zilic is moving on, wins a race or doesn't win a race. So much so, obviously no drivers clinched in the championship 4 at Las Vegas. On points because nobody won. Any driver, though, who leaves Talladega 57 points above fourth place will clinch a spot in the championship four, just off of points. Obviously, Connor Zilicher, 82 points on the good side. He has to have a disaster of Talladega to not convince or not clinch this weekend into the championship four. So Connor Zilicher, I told you all along, is moving on regardless. Justin Allgaier, I do believe he's moving on regardless as well, whether he gets a win here in the next couple races. And same thing, same races, Talladega, Martinsville coming up. But 44 points on the positive side, unless something disastrous happens. 2 races for him, he's moving on to the championship four as well. Then you got some question marks here, right? Jesse Love, 20 points from the cut line. I do think Jesse Love is safe. Just needs to go out there, stay on the racetrack, and compete here in these couple races, and he will move on points. It's not written in stone like it is with the other two, but I do believe Jesse Love does move on. I've told you all along, Sam Mayer is going to move on in this round as well. I'm not as confident in that pick as I am in the other ones here because he's only 8 points up from the elimination line coming up here, right? Sam Mayer in fourth, Brandon Jones in fifth, as you see. They're separated by those 8 points there. And then you get that big jump, right? Sheldon Creed, Carson Cavapel, the other rookie besides Connor Zilicher in this Xfinity Series. Sammy Smith, 24 points back as well from that side. Sheldon Creed, Carson Cavapel, and Sammy Smith need to win in order to advance and move on. They're not going to make it through, I don't believe, the way their teams are running, unless they win. Brandon Jones has a chance. I'm willing to say Sam Mayer's going to get that advance, but not going to put any money on that or my house on it moving forward at this point. So there is something to play for here going into Talladega Superspeedway. As I told you, 2.66 mile asphalt oval. Now, these races Saturday, the 18th here coming up this weekend. It's going to be at 4 p.m. Eastern time, 1 p.m. Phoenix time here. As like I said, this is where we watch the events from. The Xfinity Series still on the CW. Practice and qualifying, well, it's going to be on Saturday there, starting at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time, 8:30 a.m. our time here in Phoenix, at least, here for practice and qualifying for the Xfinity Series coming up. No driver, here's some stats for you. No driver has ever won the championship after they've won race number 2 in the round of 8. And this is race number 2 in the round of 8. Just because you win this does not mean you go on and win the championship and you get momentum out there. Want to make it a little bit closer and more stringent here? No driver has ever won Talladega playoff race and then gone on to win the championship either. Talladega is not the place you get momentum to propel you into that championship, apparently, is what those stats tell me at that point. Talladega for the Xfinity Series is the last drafting track, and obviously Martinsville and Phoenix coming up next. But it is the 6th racetrack, drafting racetrack here in the Xfinity Series. So people have been running on them this year, more familiar with it. Truck Series, right? They hadn't run on one since February. A little bit often here. Austin Hill won Talladega last April, and that was his series record 9th career drafting track win. But it was his first win at Talladega as well for Austin Hill. Then you got Austin Hill now, right, as the only driver in series history to actually win at all 3 drafting tracks. That would be Atlanta, Daytona, and Talladega. He's won at Atlanta 5 times, Daytona 3 times, and, of course, the first win at Talladega last April. Does that mean he's got momentum going into this race, having won in April? Nah, I don't think so, but maybe so, right? The last 7 Talladega races, though, they were won by 7 different drivers. People don't repeat here in the Xfinity Series here at Talladega. Chevrolet has dominated this series. We tell you every week. Chevrolet has won 24 of 30 races here in the Xfinity Series. That's tied for the most all time by a manufacturer through the 30 races throughout the series history. Been dominating. We've told you every week, JR Motorsports dominates the Xfinity Series. Connor Zilicher, Allgaier. They have 6 different drivers winning on this series here this year. JR Motorsports does. We've been giving you these stats all year long in terms of weeks and what they've done and everything. Drafting tracks are different, and they change things up. JR Motorsports does not dominate at the drafting tracks like they do all the other ones. Richard Childress Racing. RCR wins on drafting tracks. They've won 3 of the 5 drafting tracks races this season. Austin Hill and Jesse Love, they've combined to lead 340 laps on the drafting tracks this year. 49 other drivers have combined to lead 329. 2 guys by themselves are leading more than every other driver out there in these drafting tracks. And Austin Hill and Jesse Love, are they people to pay attention to this week on the Xfinity Series? So you got to put aside, I'm assuming you got to put aside the JR Motorsports domination here in the NASCAR Series in this Xfinity Series. They're dominating, absolutely. Talladega changes it up. RCR has something special in these drafting tracks. Austin Hill, Jesse Love, I'm going to go with, and he needs a win, right? Obviously, everybody needs a win here if you haven't won yet. But I'm going to go with Jesse Love, especially after his good run last week in Las Vegas. I know it's a different setup. That's going to give him confidence going into this weekend. He's been confident at Talladega in the past. I think Jesse Love, I'm going to pick him, kind of a surprise winner here at Talladega this weekend to secure his spot to move on into the round of Championship 4 here coming up for him. This is going to be fun to watch. I'm not going to be surprised if a non-playoff driver wins. I'm certainly not going to be surprised if somebody under the cut line wins on the Xfinity size too. So this is going to be a fun race here on Saturday afternoon to watch this series go. And it's as competitive as you can be, minus the top 2 guys. And if you want to add Jesse Love in there for the 3rd spot, fine. But it's as competitive as you can be here for that final spot between Brandon Jones, Sam Mayer, and Jesse Love coming up from that side. The other 3 guys, you got to win. One of those other 3, Carson Cavapel, Sheldon Creed, and I just forgot the other gentleman's name. I apologize. Smith, Chandler. They need a win. They sneak a win in here, it's going to turn this playoffs upside down. And that's what I love about this playoff format and what we are looking at moving forward. So then, of course, you've got the most popular Xfinity voting going on right now as well. These results are through October 15th. So Xfinity 2, here's the graphic that we'll throw up here on the screen for everybody. And no shocker here. I mean, there's not a lot of shockers. Wait till we get to the Cup one. It's called foreshadowing, folks. All right, you got Jesse Love, Sam Mayer, Sammy Smith, Connor Zilic. Connor Zilic everybody seems to love that kid out there, right? Little 19-year-old as well. Austin Hill, I'm surprised he's on there, to be honest with you. Matt DiBenedetto, Sheldon Creed, Harrison Burton, Justin Allgaier. I like Justin Allgaier. I knew somebody that worked on his pit crew. And just literally just spoke amazing things to him and about him and the way he acted out there. So a little bit more competitive here, probably top 10 voting here for these guys in the Xfinity Series. Again, if you want to, go to Xfinity and get your vote in, or reach out to me at the Pit Stop Talk on X and let me know who you're voting for the most popular driver out there is what we need to see. And when we come back here at the Pit Stop, well, let's get into it. The Cubs Series this Sunday, Talladega. Ooh, we got a lot to talk about. I'll get to the ratings for Las Vegas. And then this series, lots of question marks on who's going to advance here coming up. Plus the lawsuit that'll never die. Another filing there. Court dates coming up here. Are they going to settle or are they not? Well, let's talk about it. Come on back. It's the Pit Stop. And we're back here at the pit stop having some fun with our Look Ahead show. Yes, this is the show we look ahead to the weekends of racing. If you're looking for the opinions and everything on last weekend's racing, well, the Look Back show was up on Monday here, Robat TV, the YouTube channel where it's free as well on demand. And, of course, podcast systems on Podbean. The Pit Stop Talk is where you can find that. Just search that at Podbean. It pops right up for you. And, of course, check us out on the free YouTube page. Subscribe as well. It's all got all of our shows there. The Main Event, Pit Stop, the McCollum on Business, and The Real Matrix. All shows we produce here are all on that free YouTube page as well. So join us there as well if you would. And we got some things with some live feeds coming up. We have some more ideas on that. We kind of tested it around before and moved away from it. So you're going to want to join that YouTube page for checkouts as well, of course. Here at Robat TV, we're glad to be here with our live shows, and that's just a great place to be. And if you want to interested or ever wanted to get into this or do a show based on your industry, you've done it before, you've thought about it, but you're not sure, that's all right. Come on in. We did it with The Real Matrix. We worked with him to get him happy with the show. We can work with you. No shame in it. If we don't like it, if you don't like it, well, we can just make sure it never sees the light of day out there. Absolutely. But it'd be fun, man. I'm telling you, it's a good place to be. Monthly shows, weekly shows, daily shows, weekend-only shows. We can get you all set up here. You just got to reach out to me on any of the social medias, and we'll get you set up out there. And now we're getting into the Cup Series here for the Talladega race here. But before we look ahead, let's do one more look back here because we got the ratings for Las Vegas in last weekend. USA Network, 1.717 million viewers for that Sunday race at Las Vegas. There's no direct competition because last year the event was on NBC, and obviously USA is a completely, compared to NBC standards, USA is off the distance here compared to NBC. So, but that rating right there, check this out, the 1.717 million viewers, according to the Nielsen site that I looked at, NASCAR was the number 2 sport of the day on cable. Yes, NFL dominates Sundays. NASCAR was number 2 sport of the day, right behind the Broncos-Jets football game that happened. That was the one that was over in Europe, last weekend. And it's the best viewership for NASCAR, by the way, since Darlington. I get that information from Bob Pockris, and then jski.com gave us that little nugget as well from that side. So is the NASCAR viewership going to start increasing a little bit as we get closer to the championship race? Something to pay attention to here coming up. But now that we've looked back at the ratings side of things for Las Vegas, well, let's remind you of what the playoff points here for the Cup Series are. Cup 1 is what we're looking at is playoff standings. Denny Hamlin, of course, winning in Las Vegas. Moves on to the round of 8. And I was thinking about his emotional win, and he's usually cocky and has fun with the fans out of there, and just an emotional win, and just wondering how much pressure's off of him to get back to go for a championship in the 4. But he moves on, obviously, with that win. Then you got Kyle Larson out there. With that 35-point up here from the cut line. Interesting enough, Kyle Larson gained 31 points to the cut line at Las Vegas. 31 points is what he gained. That's the largest gain ever by any driver in the opening race of the round of 8. Obviously, Kyle Larson has solidified himself here to move on to the next round. Now, it's not official. Those points can be made up here if he goes out of this race, in step 1, say stage 1 or something. But Kyle Larson has done a lot to put himself in a good spot. However, if you have a race weekend like Ryan Blaney had last weekend, where you're out of this race at lap 70 and everybody's just pulling away from you, well, you can lose those 35 points. How do I know? Well, because Ryan Blaney lost 37 points to the cut line at Las Vegas. He also lost 43 points in that same race in 2024. But he did go on to win at Martinsville, to advance to the championship 4 round and eventually win it as well. But you can go backwards quickly, like Ryan Blaney did with an accident that knocks you out of these races early. Ryan Blaney was 47 points below the cut line when he won at Martinsville last year to advance to the championship season. That was the largest deficit ever to overcome in the round of 8. Difference is this time, Ryan Blaney has 2 races here to advance to the championship four. Talladega this weekend, Martinsville next weekend as well. His teammate, Team Penske, Joey Logano, they've run well at Talladega, folks. One of these two guys, right, when it comes down to the ending, is one of these two guys going to get the win and punch their ticket to the championship four. Do they absolutely need a win to move on? No. They can do it by points. They need some luck. They need some help from people. Same thing with Chase Elliott. William Byron, well, he could overcome that 15 points fairly easily here coming up. So I told you, I had Kyle Larson moving on in this round. I had Christopher Bell moving on in this round as well. I had Chase Elliott moving out. I had Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney moving on in this round. So we got some stuff to change up here and see if we have any movement coming up here in this round of 8 here coming up. So, obviously, Talladega Super Speedway. The track size doesn't change. 2.66 mile asphalt oval for this weekend. Sunday, October 19th is the rate day. 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Phoenix time here for this drafting track of Talladega coming our way. The remaining races for NASCAR, no more USA Network. They're going to be on NBC, which is going to command a larger audience, we're going to assume. And NBC picks up their coverage there about a half an hour before race start this weekend at Talladega. If you want to watch practice and the qualifying, well, it's going to be Saturday morning. 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time is when you can see it. That makes it 11:30 a.m. here in Phoenix. If you want to watch that, True TV is where you can find practice and qualifying if you're into that type of stuff. Fords and Toyotas dominate the qualifying and the speed there in that perspective coming out this weekend. Do they keep it going is kind of the question that we need to look at. With Talladega this weekend in the Cup Series, each of the last 10 races there, well, they've been won by a different driver. It's the longest streak of races that there has been at Talladega without a repeat winner. You don't repeat here at Talladega. You saw that in the Xfinity Series with that stats and everything. New winners all the time. Will that streak be broken this week? Then you go a little bit farther as only 2 of the last 9 races at Talladega were actually run by a current playoff driver. Playoff guys that are still in the playoffs do not win at Talladega. There's 2 exceptions. Ryan Blaney, he won it in 2023, and Chase Elliott won it the year before in October of 22. Chase Elliott needs a win to move on to the next round. So does Ryan Blaney. They're the only 2 to win as playoff drivers. Nobody other playoff drivers have won there at Talladega. The eventual winner here at Talladega has led 19 laps or less in each of the 9 Talladega races coming up. You get to the end of these races, guys push out there. Sometimes wrecks happen. And guys that generally haven't been in the front push up and get the win here and pass the guys out there. But then there's not a lot of cautions at Talladega like there used to be back in the day. The last 4 races at Talladega, each of them, last 4, only 4 cautions. They go out there, they run in half horsepower, 3/4 horsepower, save gas, do their strategy stuff, and then you push with about 20 laps to go. Leads to less cautions out there on the racetrack. So you have to be pinpoint and be able to be in a position to get to the front at the end of this race. If you're a pole winner, you want to watch the pole running on Saturday? Well, the pole winner finished 17th or worse, folks, in each of the last 7 races. Basically, since the next-gen car came in. If you win the pole at Talladega, you ain't winning the race, according to statistics. We can go even farther. Right, 4 of the 5 drafting track races here in 2025 for the Cup Series, well, they were won by active playoff drivers. So you have experience in drafting side of things to get there. But Talladega's a little bit different than the other drafting tracks. A lot different. I told you Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney run, and the Fords run Talladega really well. Can Joey Logano get the win this weekend with Ryan Blaney? Well, Joey Logano leads all drivers with 228 laps led at Talladega, folks. And not just that, at drafting tracks in 2025. But he has nothing to show for it. His best finish was 12th place. And leading that many laps in these drafting tracks, only best finish is 12th. could not get it done at the end. Accidents, car breaking down, etc., have been big deals out there and stuff like that. Yeah. If you want to talk about racing and winning at a drafting track, well, Team Penske, I told you, was really good at these drafting tracks. You can throw Hendrick Motorsports in there as well. They've combined, Team Penske and Hendrick, they've combined to win 13 races at drafting tracks in the next-gen car. That's more than all the other teams combined on top of it. Christopher Bell runs drafting tracks well. He's not even breaking through to get on that Joe Gibbs racing side of things. Kyle Larson doesn't like drafting tracks, things to that effect. William Byron, they want the speed, not to be bunched together out there. So who gets the win this weekend? We threw a bunch of stats to kind of look at it here, right? You're trying to find who has the edge going into this. Fords have the edge going into Talladega. But then I gave you that stat of Joey Logano, leading the most laps, but only finishing the highest point, 12th place. I think the magic continues with the Ford driver this weekend. Has a terrible race out there last weekend. Needs a win to move on. Got it last year at Martinsville. Ryan Blaney is going to come back, get the win this weekend. He's going to run good. Him and Joey Logano are both going to run good. And can they flip this playoff odds on its top with Ryan Blaney winning the race this weekend at Talladega is my question that I got. Let's go with the Ryan Blaney here and that magic continuing on here this weekend. You know, we've been talking, of course, in this Lookout show. We also do the news of the week here because we record this either Wednesdays or Thursdays. So a lot of the news comes out. And boy, was there news in the Cup Series this week, right? But let's get the top 10 popular drivers per voting through October 15th for the Cup Series out here as well. Here's your top 10, folks. Christopher Bell, which surprises me but doesn't surprise me because Christopher Bell is just a quiet dude, quiet guy. You know, kind of, I'm going to say awkward in interacting with people, but he's up there, popular driver. Ryan Blaney as well. He's really good with fans, really good with them. You also have to watch out for his, on-track shenanigans and anger coming out. Kyle Busch, William Byron, Ross Chastain, Chase Elliott. SVG should not be a surprise. He's in there. He's really likable because you can kind of see it ooze through the camera when he won multiple times this year. Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, Joey Logano there as well. Chase Elliott wins this award a lot. The interesting thing here, most popular driver in terms of votes. Now, this is votes. They said they put it, in alphabetical order so that you don't know who has the most votes. Chase Elliott wins this award. Can somebody upset him this year? But the big question is, Kyle Busch is on this list. Denny Hamlin's on this list. Joey Logano's on this list. They are loved by some people. They're also hated by a lot of people as well. So interesting and dynamic here, kind of eye opener of who's in this top 10 of voting through October 15th here on the most popular driver in NASCAR Cup Series. And then you got some sponsorship stuff, right? Sunoco, well, they're the official fuel of NASCAR. Well, they're tracking towards a renewal as the exclusive fuel sponsor for NASCAR. Now, neither side has talked about it. Just people familiar with the matter have been leaking that information out there. But there's some questions about long-term future in terms of the category of the NASCAR's, fuel leader out there. Because there's other people that they want to get in on the sport that want to manufacture. So you might have to split it up or something, right? So Sunoco first came into NASCAR back in 2004. They went into a contract year in 2025. No renewal was reached at that point. They just kept going through the same contract this year. So NASCAR has started exploring its options with other companies within that fuel category, right, as well. One of the scenarios that NASCAR has considered, not ruled off either, according to the people that are familiar, having one company take over both the official fuel category and the official motor oil designation. There's currently a split between two companies, right? ExxonMobil, their brand, Mobil One, and Mobil One being there as well. You got one brand, but kind of finding it out between the two. And have them be oil sponsors. It's all about money with NASCAR. We'll talk about that coming up on the lawsuit updates. Sunoco's deal does expire after 2025, but it was unclear if Mobile One, even wants to go through with this sponsorship to get there. They're on a few cars, for instance. NASCAR was seeking in the range of $10 million a year for control of both categories. It was unclear how much Sunoco pays, but the original deal was 10 years, and the estimation was $8 to $10 million annually. It was kind of what everybody was thinking it was at that time. So, and it was reported by the Sports Business Journal and other places to get that number. The full list of companies that NASCAR spoke to, well, we don't know all of them. We just know the ExxonMobil and Mobil One are in that deal. But they were expected to talk to a major fuel companies already in racing. Companies like Shell, ExxonMobil, we know. I mean, you got to reach out to people that already sponsor cars, etc. Sunoco has reduced its retail presence in recent years, and it's become more reliant on business-to-business fuel sales. They made a big, huge deal back in 2017, $3.3 billion deal there. They sold 1,100 convenience stores to 7-Eleven. That's why you saw the Sunoco was where you could buy fuels and everything. And they sold those convenience stores to 7-Eleven, so they don't need to do consumer advertising moving forward. They're a business-to-business vendor now. So it is interesting if Sunoco does stay as the official fuel vendor. Because who are they advertising to? Their business-to-business people are already there, and they don't have that retail presence anymore since 2017 out there. Other news around NASCAR, Richard Childress Racing. Well, they announced this week Jim Pullman will rejoin their organization in 2026. He's going to be the crew chief for Kyle Busch in that number 8 car. Coming up here, Kyle Busch, of course, lost his driver. Going down the Xfinity, or his crew chief, he's going down the Xfinity series to work with Connor Zilisch next year. So Pullman previously worked at RCR. He was the organization's head of research and development, so he's familiar with the people there. But he went down and took over the reins there as crew chief of Justin Allgaier's car there, the number 17 with JR Motorsports. He did that back in 2023, and he has built a winning program there in that Xfinity series with that number 7 car. 9 wins, tons of top 10 finishes. Justin Allgaier in Vegas just got his 300th top 10 finish. Now, they weren't all under this crew chief, right? But they continued it on as well. Allgaier made it to a Championship 4 appearance during that rookie year together in 2023. He followed up that first year success. Allgaier got his first Xfinity Series championship in 2024 with him at the helm as well. So they're currently still in the playoffs. They're still trying to defend that 24 title as well. He's the closest competitor there to his teammate, Connor Zilisch, out there as well. So that, losing his crew chief, moving up to Kyle Busch as well with RCR. So if you don't know, Pullman replaces Randall Burnett. He announced his departure from that RCR organization. He's pursuing another opportunity within the NASCAR sport there as well. The number 8 car there currently has Andy Street, and he's going to continue to serve as the interim crew chief there for the Kyle Busch car as well, in that 8 car on the other side. So Kyle Busch has his. Good luck to him. I mean, the question isn't being crew chief for Kyle Busch for a year or two, but Kyle Busch is on the backside of his career. How long is he going to be remaining? How long is he going to stay at RCR? What's your job situation? Who are you going to be the crew chief of when Kyle Busch leaves if you stay? That number, I know it's the Cup Series, but that number 7 Allgaier team, you've had a lot of success with JR Motorsports at that point. So I don't know. I know he's familiar with RCR, having been there before, but that's a jump. God bless him for taking it. I don't know if I would have made that jump to an RCR team and Kyle Busch in this current scenario with the success you're having there on the Xfinity series. And crazy things happen in NASCAR. And drivers come and go, some unexpectedly, some expectantly. Well, we found out this week that Spire Motorsports and Justin Haley, well, they've officially agreed to part ways following this Cup Series season coming up at the end of February, or the end of this year when it finished racing at Phoenix. So what are they going to do for the number 7 car for 2026? Well, they haven't announced that yet. You don't announce the same things at the same time. That's just rude. But Haley first joined Spire Motorsports back in 2019. That was their inaugural season in the NASCAR Cup Series when he joined them there. So Haley's out. We don't know his future either. We'll have to pay attention what he's going to do coming forward. And so those two news are all out there. And then finally, the lawsuit that I swear will never die, right? It's going to go to court. Needlessly, it's going to go to court because everybody wants their own little piece of flesh in this deal. We, of course, are talking about the 2311 and Front Row Motorsports lawsuit out there. Well, last time we talked to you about it a week or two ago, well, NASCAR had filed a preliminary injunction or at least asked for a motion of summary judgment. Well, 2311 and Front Row Motorsports had until yesterday to file their response to that NASCAR motion for summary judgment. Here's what 2311 Front Row Motorsports says in their motion. It starts off right at the top. Quote, the motion is a meandering combination of mischaracterizations of plaintiff claims, misstatements of governing antitrust laws, and disputed facts, which must go to trial, unquote. That's how they started off. I read the whole legal document, and then I went back and read some synopsis of people talking about it. And that little batch there just says, they are liars. We are going to win this. Let's go to trial. 2311 Front Row Motorsports say the case shouldn't be thrown out. Obviously, they don't want it to do that because they would lose at that point. But they say it shouldn't be thrown out because NASCAR pays below market terms to the premier stock racing teams out there. So they say that harms team enterprise value as they play below market value. They also say that there's no alternative for teams because NASCAR's sanction agreements keep tracks from having other stock car events. NASCAR owns a lot of their racetracks. Even the ones they don't own, they have contracts with that restricts what else can be there as well. They also said 2311 and Front Row Motorsports in this, they said they cannot run next generation cars anywhere else. So that's why they're limited. That's why they're considering it a monopoly, and they want the antitrust case to continue. I do think the judge is going to let this go to trial or at least continue negotiations to settle. But I'm willing to bet you 2311 Front Row Motorsports are going to lose these arguments. They've lost them all along as well. And they're going to continue to do so with these threats. But yeah, you got to try it. You got to file. You got to do all that stuff. The other thing that came out of the summary judgment that is noticeable or notable here, besides that part of what 2311 Front Row Motorsports said. And we'll hear in the next week what the judge decides. It'll be sometime next week. So next look ahead show next week, we'll probably have the answer on what the judge's ruling is on this lawsuit, on if it's going to, be found in the dropped against NASCAR or if it's going to continue on for negotiations for settlement and trial. But in this deal as well, they put a text message of some NASCAR executives and kind of what they're thinking here, and they put it into the lawsuit as well. And why it's notable is it kind of gets you what the NASCAR side of thing is thinking. We kind of already know what they're thinking as they go on, and what NASCAR put into these texts is I summarize it here for you. If you want to see it, Bob Pockers did a great job. Fox Sports, Bob Pockers also did a nice article on this reporting as well. But the text message is it flat out says NASCAR does not want to be like LIV and PGA golf. They flat out say in this text conversation between Steve O'Donnell and some other executives in NASCAR, specifically says what happens. So if you know the story of LIV Golf and PGA, LIV Golf sniped some of the best golfers in the world away from the PGA. They overpaid them and had them go. So what do you do if 30 of your teams just one day just gets up and leaves you? What do you do? How do you handle it? So NASCAR's text message threads here, we need to talk about this. We need to get a game plan on this so we don't get in that same PGA situation, moving forward. So, of course, 2311 Front Row Motorsports is talking about how they're trying to keep us down to keep us there, is how they interpolate that moving forward on that side. That's the big thing that came out of this is just that text conversation. I mean, these guys, executives are always plotting for worst case scenarios, etc. out there. Did they act on it? Was it just a conversation? Be interesting to see what the judge's ruling is. I do think he's not going to rule for summary judgment for NASCAR, but he's already rejected these antitrust claims for 2311 Front Row Motorsports. He's rejected it a few times. Says they can go race someplace else. You can go race someplace else. Nobody's stopping you. But their argument is, well, I can't race stock cars anywhere else. Well, but you can go race elsewhere. You can go F1. You can go, IndyCar. So it's going to be fascinating to see what happens here with this lawsuit in terms of the summary judgment. So next week might be an interesting week, depending on how the judges rule next week out there as well. But, folks, let's wrap up this look-ahead show here of the Pit Stop. I appreciate you joining me. Of course, we'll be back early part of next week, Monday, Tuesday, and we'll have the Look Back show, Talladega, full weekend of racing, playoffs on the line. So hopefully I'm rooting for chaos. I'm not going to lie to you. I want to see some playoffs get put on top of their heads. One reason why I want Ryan Blaney to win in the Cup Series. I want to see him go from the bottom to the top and put some pressure on some other guys coming up here. Will I get my wish on chaos, or will it just be status quo? Well, we'll find out over the weekend, and I'll see you next week, everybody.